there's always a little bit of difficulty with technology for some reason. Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you, Roberta and Ida, and welcome you back. We're really excited to get together again and start the campaign for the Mohawk Institute. It's actually the Mohawk Village Memorial Park, but we're here as a community to have a conversation and really talk to everything that's been going on in community and in society and across our nation. And so I'd like to welcome you both here for sharing space and story and for bringing some enlightenment to what people can do to support you. If you want, Roberta, you can say hi, and then we can even, because Ida can't bring in her stream of her picture, her cute face today, but just maybe you can start with us. We'll say hello, and then you can tell us why we've come together today.
Okay, I'd like to say hello to everyone. I'd like to acknowledge and honor the children that were found out west, the bodies of those children. It's a sad time, sad day. It's really heartbreaking. But we're here today to gather together for all those listeners to say, just to let you know what we're doing with the Mohawk Village Memorial Park even. This is a time in history where we can't forget any of it. And the Memorial Park will acknowledge a piece of history in Canada, and it goes beyond Canada too. But there are events in history that need to be remembered, never to be forgotten. And this memorial park is so that we remember the children that went to this residential school, the Mohawk Institute Indian Residential School. But not only that one, it honors and remembers all of the children that went to any residential school. So this is where we are right now. We're, we've been gathering as survivors, listening to stories, and it never seems to let up. You hear new stories all the time. So I think this is a time in our history where we can come together, not necessarily just as Indigenous, all people come together, walk together in peace. And I think this park, what I'm seeing with the park is that it will be open to anybody, everybody, that wants to find a safe space, learn about the history of the residential school, but also find some solace there. You can reflect on things. You can gather there with friends, family. It will be an awesome park when it's done, but it will be in honor and memory of all the residential school children.
Hey, thank you for sharing that, Roberta. And you're right. We do need to acknowledge the children that were found in that mass grave. And the genocide, we just need to look at it. We just need to look at it, and we need to face it, and we need to stand with the survivors that actually are here to talk about it. I'd like to introduce Ida Martin, and Ida's been a support worker for your group for years. And one of the reasons why we continued as Grandmother's Voice, me as an urban Indigenous woman, everyone that's involved with Grandmother's Voice, why we did this is because of the relationships we built with the two of you in February. I think February was the month that we had your group on talking. So I'd like to invite Ida in and just tell us, just kind of say hello, and then you can go into, why you feel it's important to come here, and then we can start our conversation and share with everyone what our plans are.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is such a sad, painful time. And there's not too many incidents that happen where we have a collective grief. It's not just the Native people who are grieving, and that's very different. It was a shock and a surprise. The shock was how many they found, but the shock also, I think for everyone, and not just us as as Native people, was how they disposed of those little bodies. I think that's the hardest piece for me. And the surprise was that it actually happened. They actually found these little ones. I don't know how it happened that somebody finally believed someone that was saying these things, because it's been years that the survivors have shared information about little ones that had died at the different residential schools. So I'm not sure how this came about, how someone or a group were actually believed. And they actually went ahead with the equipment that would show underground. So, but yeah, and it just brings, for the survivors and for everyone involved, for a period of time, we can allow ourselves not to feel. But this one here brings up, it's just a continuation of the pain, the sorrow, and the anger. Yeah, so, but again, as I say, it's a collective grief. So everyone is being affected and impacted by this in some way, even though we still have people in Canada and Ontario and close by in our communities who had never heard of the residential school. So there's still those people too. And again, I would imagine, some don't believe that ever happened. But yeah, so I guess there's plans underway, and I'm not sure how close they are to going over the grounds at the mush hole, but that will be happening, because the mush hole is there's only two, I think. As far as I know, there are only 2 residential schools still standing. And that would be the mush hole, and that would be Shingwalk, where they've added on around it. But part of that, the residential school is still there. And it is now Algoma University. But they have a cemetery right behind the grounds there at Sault Ste. Marie.
Mm.
Yeah. So
I would think that,
pardon?
no, I was just going to say, I would think that taking care of the Mohawk Village area would be make the most sense to me. And who am I? But really, we're talking about, moving it along, right? And if you have activity already where you are, and this is, I think this just comes from my conversations that we have frequently, Ida, and I think that you guys have waited long enough, and I think that this is the right time. And we did ceremony at our new location in Milton, because we started our ceremonies last year asking for to create a living monument for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and children and families to come and really, be able to, much like what your vision is, Roberta, for the memorial park. Right? Is that this was our way of doing a call to action. Like, how can we tell people to be, what to do? Right? We can't. You need to sit in what you're feeling and understand, why you maybe deny it, why you maybe can't look at it, why you're, you don't want to spend time there. And I really do believe, Ida, you said, what you're just talking about, like people came here, the settlers that came here, if we really think about it, came because their countries were being colonized. They came because that had happened to them. And so they came here and then they were a part of it happening to us. That's my understanding. That's how I describe it to my children until they learn, all of the history, which takes a long time to learn history. And sometimes people get stuck in that mind frame that I need to know everything. I need to know every detail, right? That's the way our education systems work, is if you know what's written, if you know all of that, then you know the truth, then you know the history. But that's not where we are right now. We're actually in a place where we need to do action. We need to support people. And whether or not you know the true every little detail, that takes time. And if we continue to wait to learn the history, then we'll never get to where we need to be by supporting you, to helping you build this park. And so this is why we've moved into action as Grandmother's Voice. We have a lot of different things happening right now in our development of our own organization and building, what we're calling a community of practice, which means how do we wrap our arms around our communities and say, come in and let's make these decisions. Let's move together and get together. And so without me rambling anymore, I don't even know where that, sometimes you just have that space and platform to say what you've learned. And that's what I feel like I've learned. And yesterday we did ceremony with the grandmothers in our living monument. And the grandmothers that we spend time with are amazing women. You guys know them. They're very spiritually connected, and we felt the children. We felt them dancing, and we felt them saying that, we needed to know this truth as a nation, and know that the Creator took care of their spirits. And we believe that as Indigenous people, that their spirits were taken care of by the Creator. But it's the grief in our physical time right now that we need to deal with. And to do that, we need to support the Indigenous survivors. And that's what I'm advocating for here. And so Roberta and Ida, we've been talking, for actually since you guys were on, and I'd love for you to now kind of step in and start sharing, because we were talking about creating a campaign to help raise money for this school. And how we were going to do that was, we were thinking about, let's keep bringing the survivors on. Let's keep telling people, because we know the impact it has on the actual healing of the survivors, to be able to come and share their story and talk about it, but then also the healing it does for the people that are listening, and it gives them more understanding. So we spoke about picking a day once a week from now until the end of September, which is September 30th is Orange Shirt Day, Residential School Survivor Day, understanding. And so we'd like to share that. I think that'll be really important, to pick that day and tell everybody, hey, let's continue to listen to our thrivers and our survivors. And then also invite people to go to their website, donate to their park. They have a plan, they have a layout, they have a dream. They have a dream. And I think that it's time that we support that. And so we are 150% Roberta and Ida supporting all of those amazing grandmothers, grandfathers, aunties, uncles that we met through our speaker series. So, please jump in and shut me up now.
Well, all I can say is that we have a group of survivors, and all survivors are welcome to participate in the development of this park. And one of the things about the park is that it's going to be on 5 acres of land right beside the mush hole. So it has that connection. That park is on the girls' side where we used to play. That was the one space that we could play, but it was very limited. So it has a lot of meaning to us too. So and to me, that was where I could get out of the building at the Mush Hole. I could play outside. I could be a kid. I had fun, you know. And inside is where most of the horrific stuff happened. So to see this space open up into a park is going to be really, really amazing for us, because it's like freedom, and it's like freedom to us. But we also remember, it'll be that connection. We have a memorial park here, and there's a reason why it will be a memorial park. And they can get all the information from Woodland Cultural Center, because they're going to house all of the stories, all of the, all the archives will be on that side. But, after you go through a lot of those stories and you listen to them, they're heartbreaking. They can really bring you down. And that would be an opportune time. If the park is done, come on out and sit in the park, and that's where Mother Nature, you put your feet on the ground, that's healing as well. So to me, that's probably the best space there, would be the outdoor space. And that's why we need a park. It's just, I think it can bring some peace to people. There's a lot of kids that were hurt there, a lot of kids that are gone that'll never have had their voices heard. But you know what? Through the park, we can hear them. We can hear them. And we respect them. And this is an acknowledgement to those children that are long gone too, So I think that if we all work together, we could have this most amazing park where all are welcome. It doesn't matter who you are. Just come in peace, listen. You can learn a lot just from why this school was built. Because if you look at the Mush Hole itself, it was the first residential school in Canada, and it works so darn well. You know what? It was a blueprint for the rest of them. And not a good thing. It was never a good thing. But that's where it began. And I can't imagine our ancestors wanting a residential school where children would have been harmed. That's not what the intent was. Never, 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 never. I think there was just an opportunity where people took advantage of things, and they did it their way, and that's not what education's about. I listen to you, Jody, and talk about the grandmothers, and they're educating still, and yet the educators we had at the school were not good educators at all. We learned bad things. And so we have an opportunity now to at least swing things around, show them that what we're made of, we're strong, we're resilient, we can make change. And this is what I'd like to see, is that we need the support from anyone who cares to donate to the Mohawk Village Memorial Park. It's just one of those things that would be so uplifting to have people support us and say, even if it's a small amount, it really doesn't matter. It's just that you're showing support. You're saying, I believe you. I hear your voice, and that's what makes a lot of difference to me, is that we'll hear, we'll hear you, you donate, whatever. Even if you wanted to come out and sit in the park, that's fine, but we need the park, because I think it's really in honor of all the residential school people. There's still enough here. And it's not just us as survivors who were hurt. We're still hurting in the community. It's the intergenerational. I listen to people and say, why was your grandpa, your uncle, whoever, why were they like that? Well, you'll learn in time why they were like that. It's not who they wanted to be. It's what they were taught to be in these schools. And so it's all the more important to say, let's take something positive. Let's create something that's not harmful. We want to move forward too. We don't want to be stuck in those places. And yet part of your memory will always be back there. And I think this is an opportunity to say for us is like, yeah, we can do it. We've come this far. We're going to keep going. We're going to build this park. And with everyone's help, we can build this park, because it's been a long time coming, a long time. But I think it's really a good time now where people come together and help support, and you'll learn exactly what the kids went through. If you go to the listen to the Save the Evidence, you'll find out that it wasn't an easy road for them. It was not the kind of educational facility that anyone would send their children to. It just wasn't. Even though it's made out to be that way, it caused more harm than anything, more damage. So here we are today, dragging it all out again. But the park, I think the park is just one step. It's one big step towards healing, to reconciling with the past. We won't forget. We'll never forget. But this is like a positive move where I think it can take an awful lot of weight off of people if they just say, Here's how we acknowledge the children. Here's what we can do. We can't. There's so many that are gone. So many survivors that have gone. Over 140 years that the residential school was there. So let's acknowledge, move forward. We can gather in peace, be friends, and that's what I want to see. Is like I want to see happier times. And we can do those things. I would like to see really like people laughing. I love, and that's one of the things that's good for the soul. I love to laugh, tell me some good stories. Ida, you probably could tell me some. And, it's that laughter and it's that gathering. Those is like you're saying, it's the gathering and even if all relatives, your grandmother, all generations should be able to come out as families even and gather in that park and be who they were meant to be, and just find peace there. And that's what we're looking for.
That's awesome. Thank you. Ida, I love your story, Ida. And not that I don't love yours, Roberta, because you're amazing. I love the firecracker life that you bring every time we talk. I think it's what inspires me. Like when I spent that week with all of you, that week changed everything more so than what I was doing. It really showed me that what grandmother's voice was doing, we were on the right path. And Ida, when you told me your story about how much time you spent a part of the TRC, just like everything. I mean, maybe you can just take a few minutes, take as much time as you want, but talk about that because you traveled, the stories, you're invited into the conversation still to see how that moves along. And please just share, because I think right now it's time that, we continue to tell people what the process is, where we are. And anyway, yeah. So tell Roberta some stories.
We've talked about different things, that's for sure. Did you want me to talk about what it is that I had done, like attending the hearings?
Yeah. And I think, you did speak about that on one of our speaker series, and just kind of broadly, because I think right now, a lot of where the residential school, people are, why this, like Roberta, you talked about why this location, but, maybe talk about why this location, who it represents. I don't know. Just talk. We're here.
Yeah. Because it isn't just, the Haudenosaunee that attended the mush hole, that's for sure. We had Cree, Inuit. They were from as far up as Sioux Lookout. They were sent down. We had brothers that one was in Moose Factory residential school. They were both there, but they separated them so they couldn't be together. And the other boy was sent down here. There were many that were sent to Shingwalk, many from Shingwalk that were sent down here. So, it's all nations that we're talking about, because everyone has been affected. Everyone. And this park is going to be a sharing of the history, the sharing of our culture, the sharing of our values as Indigenous people, and the intergenerational, the children of the survivors. They can come and they can learn and they can share and they can listen, and others will listen to them. And for a lot of us, we don't have that anymore, where someone actually listens. We hear you, but we don't listen, for all the message that's behind the words a lot of times. So with this park, I'm certain that so many will come from other areas because their grandmother or their parents were here, or their brother or their sister, they were here. And whether they were actually in the mush hole, it doesn't limit anyone from coming, because all the residential schools, they may have been in other residential schools that are not standing anymore. They're not there. The government paid to have those torn down, um, and they don't have a place to go. And this would be the place where they could come and they can be with others who have suffered and are still suffering. And they actually don't understand the reasons for all of their suffering. They don't understand the layers of grief, the layers of trauma that they have to start working through. And a lot of times, the only way we can start working through something is to actually acknowledge the pain first, and then to start talking, really speaking about what has happened in our lives. So I think this would be a wonderful place, for that to happen, because there's going to be teachings there. There's going to be the history there. There's going to be a space, a safe space. And for many of us, we never had it. They never had that safe space. They've always lived in fear. They've always lived with the anxiety of never knowing what was coming next. And it's a horrible way to live, but that is how they lived, because no one was there to help them. No one was there to support them. So I'm really looking forward to this park being completed, and people coming from all the different nations. We've had people attend our gatherings from the States, and they will come too, because they had the residential schools there also, but they were never acknowledged. So they came, and they wanted to be a part of the healing that's taking place here in Ontario, and that at the Mush Hole, at the different gatherings. So there will be so many different activities that will be offered also. It's a place where people can gather for different occasions, happy occasions. And it's going to change. It certainly will change the feel of the earth beneath them once this park is built.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, no, hey, you can keep going on. I didn't know if you were done.
That's okay.
You know what? Yeah, everything that you just said, Ida, is so important, and we know this. This I think is a really big part of the movement of how we can change the language around and the understanding around land back, right? Like, let's start here and really see the value of what it means to, for Indigenous people to return to their values and their traditions, excuse me, on the land. Woo. I don't know what that was, but I've been all choked up. I got to say, the last few days have been really hard. Really trying to get out what the truth is, because a lot, it's hard for people to even hear this, right? And so what do we do, right? And I don't think, like, you can pray, and I mentioned this on our social media and on the interview on CTV, and it just came out. You can pray, and you can do everything that you think performative in society, so people see you doing it, or whatever that is for you. It's important. If you need to do this for yourself, you need to feel better, you need to do this and gather with people, that's fine. But what do you do after that? And so, like, straight up, like you said, Roberta, donate $10, $5, $2, no bucks. Send the prayers, right? Like follow you on Facebook. So what I put in the chat here is go to the links that I've shared on the Facebook of the Mohawk Village Memorial Park Facebook page. You have a .com as well, like you have a website. And, just to say, these are not that, hey, you look great, Roberta. Okay. And Ida, I know you guys are the cutest things ever and spunky and ready to go. But come on, people, right? Like we are in a time of social media, and this is coming from the most loving place ever, because I know people want to know what to do. We're helping them just, so like their social media page, watch for them. We have a team of volunteers, like my kids' girlfriends and my friends' kids' girlfriends, and they're helping us behind the scenes to build up the social media. We're going to get an Instagram page going for them. And I'm really hoping that this speaker series turns into a podcast for you guys, because it's, to be able to do phone calls for all of the elders out there, or for the survivors and thrivers that want to talk about their story from their cell phone. That's realistic for them. So anybody out there, I'm totally doing a call right now for anybody that wants to help us build our podcast for the residential school survivors. We have thousands all over Canada that would love to hear their story. I don't know where this is going to go, but these two women have been working their butt off for over 10, 12 years, I'm guessing, to get this park going. And not even just them, a whole group of survivors and people that are part of this legacy and genocide of our country. Because that's what it is. And we need to move. We need to move into action and love. And so I don't know. What do you want to say, Roberta? Just 1 second.
Well, that's really hard, because I'm not. I just want an acknowledgement through this park when the park's built. I want it to be an acknowledgement that something happened. And when you come to the park, you come to the woodland. Just come to that whole area there, the woodlands, the museum, like Save the Evidence in the school building, the old mush hole. That's where the history is. And I think that once people come there, they learn, and I'm not sure what they've got going on, whether some of it's probably digital too, that you can learn some of the stories or hear some of the stories. But I think the site has a lot of meaning. Just the fact that it would be a site where a memorial park is in honor, like to honor the children, the residential school children. That should have significant meaning. Like, what happened to these children? It could start a lot of conversations, I would think. Is like, what happened here? And not only just here, this is just one school out of many across this country. And so there was, maybe people want to push it aside and say, get over it, we've heard you, whatever. But we're still here. As we always say, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. And we're just picking ourselves up now. You try dragging all of this stuff around for 40, 50 years, if not more, 60 years, some of us, before we even said anything. We carried all that pain, all that hurt with us for a long, long time. And I know that there's some people that still say, I will not set foot on that property. I don't want to go in that school. It causes too much pain. So it's still there and it's real. But we're just hoping that, if enough people support this, enough people can gather, we can actually turn things around. You'll see, it's not the land. The land never hurt you. Never. The land is there to help heal. It'll help benefit us. So that's what I want. It will be that nice place to be, we have the memories that's stuck in my head. I can't change that. I can live with it and deal with it finally. But I think there's a lot of people that it may even turn some of them around a bit and say, well, maybe I'll go there. I'll see what it is, for the ones that are still hurting, maybe. I'm hoping. But the majority of Canadians, if you don't know the history, if you want to learn more about it, it will be an awesome place to be, even if you learn just from what went on in the school, but more so, it's time to engage. If people are in the park, you can engage with people. You can talk. We can have those conversations, which is what I really would like. I like people to talk, to listen, to learn, and that's really, we're not an educator, but that facility, that whole area has got an awful lot of educating to do, that whole place. So I think it's just one of those things that it's a long time coming. And I like that song by Sam Cooke, "A Change Is," that one. "A change is going to come," or whatever. Excellent song.
Ida, did you want to add anything?
No, I just, I agree wholeheartedly with, with what Robbie's saying and what she's doing. And she's worked so hard with this, that we can only hope that others will see the value, in this park, because it has such healing components to it. And yes, there are survivors who will never step foot back into that building, but they may come to the park. Mm-hmm. And that may be as close as they can get, but they can also partake in sharing. And I would imagine that healing is also going to take place once they start opening up and they start talking to others that, were in similar situations with them, and where they're valued, mm-hmm. where they're, because so many have been, just tossed aside with the feelings of such low self-worth because of all of the abuses that they suffered. And we're told so many times, you're no good, you're not anything, and it takes a long time to get over that kind of thinking, because we tend to hold on to the negative thoughts and the negative words that have been directed towards us. So it takes a while. So I'm hoping, that there are going to be the people who have said, I'll never go there, ever, ever. But they may come to that park because it's going to be a safe place for them. And we will make sure of that. Okay, thank you.
You're amazing. You ladies are amazing. You inspire me. Roberta, you have something? Do you want to add?
I have one more thing to say, and I think what's really important is that as children, if you bring your children there, they'll be free to walk around. Where we were very, very restricted in that one little area. We were not allowed to go outside that space without, some form of punishment. So to me, this is where children can walk, can laugh, can dance. They can do all the things that we couldn't do. So that's positive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, actually. And you just said that, Robbie. I have to just mention. Yesterday when we did pipe ceremony with the grandmothers, and it was like, I'm getting choked up thinking about it, because we could feel it and the message that Gail said was dancing. And that, and if there's one thing that I could say to everyone that's watching right now, or who's going to watch this, the next time you dance for the children. Dance for the children, because it's time for us to all dance and move and make something like this happen. So before we, kind of say see ya until next Thursday, because that's when we're going to start our speaker series. And I guess what we'll just kind of say to everybody is, share this video, like the Facebook page, go visit the website. And, and I understand that, times could be challenging financially, but, just let's, as long as we, like Ida and Robbie have said, this is a collective pain that our country has together, right? We have, and if we know we can move forward and make a better space and place, also just kind of mentioning that, we realize that in Kamloops, there's another community there. So if you're watching from anywhere out west, like, engage in that community, offer anything for them, look for contact, but I really encourage people to look for the people, look for the residential school survivors, not go to the organizations, but make sure the organizations that you're involving yourself with are actually for the people. And so that I think that in that way, it can actually give you more opportunity to spend time with those people. I think a direct relationship is what a lot of people are looking for. Roberta, did you want to say something before we go, ladies?
No, well, yes. I just want to say I'm really honored to actually have a voice here. I really am. I haven't really been on my Facebook site that much because I used to post stories, and now's this time I'm going to start. I'm fired up again. I'm going to be posting some more stories. So you're going to hear more from me about residential school and probably add in some pictures maybe. And I'm hoping that we can get some pictures out and we find some that, it's just us kids. And there's a lot of people that say, that was my grandma, that was my aunt, whatever, when they like to see those things. It's like people want to say, well, you can't post that. That's confidential. No, it's not. There was nothing confidential posting our pictures at the Mush Show. So I think I'm free to post those pictures, So I say, you're going to hear from me. And hopefully everybody, even if you could donate a small amount, we would appreciate it. It's www.mohawkvillagepark.com. So it would be nice. And anytime you have questions, you can fire them on. That would be great. I'll answer whatever I can. And we've got a lot of supporters right now, like that stand with us, which is really amazing because it's hard to stand up. It really is hard to stand alone. So if you're with a group, which is what we are still here group, we stand together. It's really important that we have people that really believe in us. I think that's what it is. So, to everybody.
Thanks, Robbie. Ida,
Yeah.
just want to say goodbye or see ya.
And I'll just say the same, the same as Robbie. Please help. Please help us to get this safe space, this park, this wonderful park for everyone to come and learn. All nations, all people. And I thank you again for allowing us this time. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you, ladies, both. Love you both. Love all the survivors. It's time.
Did you hear me?
Oh, yes, we heard you loud and clear, Ida.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Am I gone?
No, you're here. I love it. Anyway, thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you next Thursday.